Hi, this is Roger Moore, and you're listening to James Bond Radio.
Hello, James Bond Radio listeners, and welcome to day 4 of No Time to Die. With me is my brother from another mother, Mr. Tom Sears, where we'll be discussing the title song and the title sequence. So, Tommy, what are you thinking about this? The song and the sequence?
Absolutely. So it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because the song is easy enough, but the title sequence itself, I'm going purely on memory, and it's because it's quite an abstract thing, isn't it? It's difficult to sort of remember every frame and moment in it. But I guess let's start with the song, right?
Yep.
So am I right in thinking you'd not heard it until you saw the film?
Unbelievably, I managed to, I think Fraser as well, Fraser Lockley and I both managed to avoid the song, which is crazy because it came out how many months prior to it?
I mean,
was it a year ago?
It was something like that, wasn't it?
But I do remember actually when it first came out, people saying, oh, it's like they weren't keen on it. And I was saying, well, they should change it and shouldn't keep it after there'd been a bit of a delay and stuff like that. But it's an interesting one. Obviously, we haven't had the pumped up, energetic style song since You Know My Name and Another Way to Die. The last 3 have all been quite gentle, quite slow. And I have to say, I've literally only listened to it the 3 times for the viewings I've had, and a couple more times just on my phone. Okay. So I it's not as embedded as it will be, obviously.
So let me ask you this then, as somebody who's not lived with it for as long as everybody else has who has heard it, what's your review? How does it make you feel?
So I kind of knew we were going to get a slowish song. I think from what I'd heard, and also I haven't heard all of Billie Eilish's stuff, but I kind of gathered that's what she was going to do. I've heard a lot of people say it's a grower. So there are some. I think it worked well when I saw it with the title sequence. I think it sort of linked well together, which I guess we can discuss about in a bit. I do prefer the ones with a bit more energy, but I think the lyrics are pretty damn cool. I really like the lyrics, and what I do like in Bond songs is when it's sort of the slow ones anyway they ramp up a bit, and I think we got that in Writings on the Wall, and you get that in this song, but it does take a long time to get there, like a very, very long time. Like you can hear some backgroundy music which sounds really sort of Bondian, and I thought, oh god, I like that, and then you get a little bit more, and it's not until you're 3/4 of the way through the song that it sort of really, you can hear it and it really kicks in, and I do like it, but perhaps maybe I haven't heard it enough, but I would perhaps like that to start a little bit earlier and maybe build up a little bit earlier. Does that make sense? Sorry,
it does. Yeah. I think so. To talk about the reaction to Billie Eilish, do you know what I think it is that no matter who it is, right? The music is almost secondary. I think it's when an artist is announced, you have a personal opinion on that artist, whether you like their music or not, whether you like them or not. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And there's the gut reaction. Now let's look at this, right? Billie Eilish I think she was 18, wasn't she, when she recorded it or something? Maybe she's 19 now or something, or probably 25 with how long we've been fucking waiting. But and it's Billie Eilish isn't for you and I, right? Look at us, man. As much as I hate to say it, we are now middle-aged men, Chris, right? We are.
What age do you officially become a middle-aged
I don't
man,
know. I'd like to think it's 50 because that's half of 100, and I plan to live to be at least 100.
Okay, so that works for me. We're not quite.
So we're not quite there, but I think amongst the wider population, then maybe we are, because average life is about 80 years old or something like that, isn't it? So if we're rocking 40, man.
There we go.
So I'd say the world at large would probably consider us middle-aged. That's a terrifying thought. But Billie Eilish is not for us. We are not her target market, right?
No.
And as middle-aged men, we could stick a Billie Eilish record on and be like, well, this is a bit shit, isn't it? Because it's not the Beatles or whatever, you know what I mean? Or an artist that would be applicable to our youth. So I think that's a big chunk of it. Because, if you're, even older than us, if you're like a Bond fan who's, I don't know, late 50s, early 60s, even older than us.
But are there people that's older than us?
There are, indeed there
Right.
are. They're going to look at Billie Eilish and be like, what the fuck is this nonsense? Do you know what I mean? And I think every generation has that. It's, if you go back to the 70s and you look at David Bowie, you could imagine the dads of that generation being like, what the fuck is this dude in his green suit and his ginger hair and his God, what is he singing about? You know what I mean? Whereas now we know David Bowie is a fucking legend. Do you know what I mean? So I think every generation has that, where you look down on the youth of that time once you reach a certain age and be like, what's this nonsense? This isn't as good as when I was growing up. You know what I mean? And I think that's a perfectly natural and normal thing. So I think that has a lot to say for a lot of the negativity against Billie Eilish. I think it's silly to say, they should have changed the song. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, of course not. Like, this is who they chose and this is who they're going with. And I could imagine you'd get a similar, when Duran Duran were the band of the day and they come in for A View to a Kill, I imagine all the dads of that would be like, fucking hell, because the perception of Duran would be a bunch of pretty boys that all the little girlies, the little teeny boppers would have loved. I'm showing my age there using the term teeny bopper, aren't I? So there's just that natural thing, regardless of whether the song's any good or not, there's that reaction to what your perception of an artist is. So I think there's a lot of that, right? Now, for me, I like My Name, I think, is a brilliant Bond song. I really do love Another Way to Die as well. I think it's a bit messy and loud. There's too much going on in that song, and I think it should have been reined in a little bit. But as a song, I really like it. It's got good energy to it. And like you say, the last three have all been slow, sort of somber numbers. And I must say, when I first heard this, I was like, this is a Bond song by the numbers. It almost felt like Billie Eilish went, right, let's listen to Adele's one. Okay, I'll have a listen to that. Let's listen to Sam Smith's one. Okay, right, I'll do a sort of a little bit of a blancmange of those two. And I feel that's exactly what we've got,
How many times do you think you've listened to it? On a ballpark figure?
Probably. Do you know, when it first dropped, the first time, I probably gave it a good 30, 40 listens. And then with all the delays, I sort of just didn't listen to it at all, just to block Bond out completely and just try and, get on with life until it finally did come out. So recently, I've listened to it the 2 times I've seen it in the cinema and like a couple of times on my phone. So pretty much like you in that regard. So for me, I think JBR listener Richard Overall described it as a photocopy of a photocopy. And I think that's a good sort of take on it, because it's very safe. You could almost sing Sam Smith's Writings on the Wall over the top of it, and it is so similar in feel and vibe. I would have loved her to come out with like a dirty GoldenEye sex groove, but maybe that's the wrong film for it. Do you know what I mean? Because one thing I will say about No Time to Die, it's not a very sexy movie, is it? No. Obviously we have Paloma, which we will talk about, in due course, yes, Chris, please. Which is, let me just take a little sidestep there for a moment. But other than Paloma, it's not your usual Bond film, is it? It is usually, Bond's sashaying through a casino and everybody's all dolled up and it's like a sexy environment. It's not that at all. Bond's a one-woman man in this film. He's got a baby, for crying out loud. And in a car chase, he's got his baby in the back seat in a little chair. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, this is not a sexy environment, is it? So maybe you don't get the sex groove for this song because it wouldn't match the content of the film. Maybe you needed a downbeat and somber one,
I think
rather than an upbeat rock and roller. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know. I 100% agree. I think, obviously, the song has got to fit the film no matter what. And I think My Name fit Casino Royale perfectly. I think with what they were trying to do, fit it great. The lyrics brilliant. And I think, although I've only listened to it a few times, it does fit the feeling of this film. It really does. And obviously we can go through the lyrics in a minute, but I think they work really well with what's going on in terms of the main story thread and everything. I still think it does sound like a Bond song, but it's very quiet initially, and it that sort of build up of the background Bondy type song takes a while.
Mm.
And maybe it's because I haven't heard it, like I've literally only heard it a handful of times. So I am going to sit down, I am going to plug it in my ears, and I am going to like listen to it over and over a good 30, 40 times and just see what I think. Because I did that with Writings on the Wall, and I don't mind. I don't mind. I know Writings on the Wall gets slagged off quite a lot, but I don't mind that. In fact, I like all of Daniel's songs. In fact, we can have a look at that in a minute as well. So it is quite hard for me to judge, but I do think it does sound like a Bond song. I do think the lyrics are great. I do think it suits the title sequence. It certainly felt like that when I was watching it. And I also think it suits the film in terms of mood and what we're getting. So from that side of things, it ticks a lot of boxes, but it doesn't mean that it's the type of Bond song that I'm going to put in the top 5 or whatever. It just means that it's really good in terms of what it's trying to do with this film, and it works. And that's how you got to look at it, I think.
It's my review on that level is that yes, it really does suit the song. I think the lyrics really suit the content of the movie, which always pleases me. That's the thing I loved about the Chris Cornell one, is that he's sat down and he's taken his time to really write something that means something in terms of the film. And this definitely it's not about guns, girls, and vodka martinis. Do you know what I mean? That would have been totally out of the question. It's definitely written purely for this song, for this film, which is great. I just guess I would say it's a very musically, it's a very safe option. Like I say, it is almost a facsimile of the last one. You could almost blend the two of them together and do like one of those mashups, and it would work completely. But yeah, I do like the Sam Smith one as well. Like I said before at the time, I think where the backlash against that one came is I think it was his voice.
Bit the falsetto.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think if you'd have had a woman sing that, nobody would have complained. I think they'd have been like, "Oh, that's a great Bond song." But because it's a dude and it's like high falsetto and stuff, and you'd not heard a dude sing like that in a Bond setting before. I think that's where the problem came with that one. But I think that's a great song. I do like it. It's especially that like orchestral intro to it. I think that's brilliant. So all right then. So should we investigate the lyrics? I called them up on my phone. So let's do a reading. Did I do it? Yes,
I do like fool me once, fool me twice. Are you death or paradise? That's probably one of my favourite little bits. But yeah, let's start at the start then, Tommy.
All right, so verse 1. Okay.
Yeah. Are we going to read the whole thing, or are we going to do a little bit and analyse?
I think we'll do a little bit and then have a little chat. Right? Yeah. Shall I try and do a breathy Billie Eilish voice?
Oh, yes, please.
Very quiet. That's a shit Billie Eilish impression. Stop it. So here we go. Verse number 1. I should have known I'd leave alone. Just goes to show that the blood you bleed is just the blood you owe. Talk to me.
Ooh, yes. Okay. So that's nice. I like that. I like that lyric a lot. So the blood you bleed is the blood you owe. So, yes.
What does that mean exactly? I don't know. I'm not sure. We do have smart blood coming back, don't we?
That's true. Yeah.
We do have a bit of smart blood. Obviously, the blood you bleed is just the blood you owe.
Now, the blood you bleed could be your own blood, but it could also be the blood that you bleed from others. And if it is the blood that you bleed from others, then who you're killing is the blood that you owe. So there is that side of it.
No, I hadn't thought about that. That is a good point.
That's one way to look at it. What was the first couple of?
I should have known I'd leave alone.
I should have known. So is this basically talking about Bond? He should have known about Madeline.
He should have not trusted her.
Because
there's that great line in the film later where he's talking to Felix and he says, I stopped trusting pretty faces a long time ago, Felix.
Yeah.
That's a great fucking line.
Yeah.
I do like that.
I have as well, to be honest. But anyway, right.
Nice. All right, next bit. We were a pair, but I saw you there. Too much to bear. You were my life, but life is far away from fair.
Wow. Okay. So it's basically the Bond-Madeline relationship, isn't 100%. It? Completely. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Then we've got the little preamble bit. Was I stupid to love you? Was I reckless to help? Was it obvious to everybody else? Now, that's nice because that's a line that does stick out in my mind when I listen to it, is the sense that that's his thought process of, isn't it? Like trust, like, because you've got the backdrop of Vesper, and that's Bond being born, the Bond that we know, isn't it? Of like, the bitch is dead line now. The barrier's come up. He's not going to trust anybody. But then, of course, he lets his guard down again, and he lets in Madeline, and it's that was it obvious to everybody else? You know,
that's it, because that's making him like, that's really like putting himself down so much that he's a fool to think that everyone else can blatantly see it, but not him. And I like that, because that shows like a vulnerability which Bond doesn't often have. So I really like it. I think that's a great line.
Then the chorusy bit, that I'd fallen for a lie. You were never on my side. Fool me once, fool me twice. Are you death or paradise? Now you'll never see me cry. There's just no time to die. Now, give me a round of applause for that, please, Chris. I feel I deserve it.
You do deserve that.
Nice. Now, good. I'd fallen for a lie. Okay, great. Blofeld's lie, though, not Madeleine's, which we learned. You were never on my side. That's what he thinks, but she is. Fool me once, fool me twice. So there we have it. We've got for me, that's a hark back to Vesper of like, damn it, I've done it again.
Done it again.
Yeah,
exactly.
I've done it again. Are you death or paradise? Well, she's probably both, really, at the end of the day, when we know the events of this. Now you'll never see me cry. There's just no time to die. Now, I don't quite know what that means.
So you'll never see me cry, because I am. It doesn't mean I'm not going to cry. It means I am going to cry, but you're not going to be around to see that, because we're parting ways. I'm saying I don't never want to see you again.
Why doesn't he have time to die? Especially,
I'm coming back.
Why doesn't he have time to die? When he does, though, that's not true.
Okay, so you'll never see me cry. Say the line again.
So I suppose what I'm struggling with a little bit is why
the meaning of the title.
Why is this film called No Time to Die when he does? Because there was that thing that came out that the film was going to be called A Reason to Die, because then remember they were going to announce the title and they were like, no, we haven't got a title, blah blah blah, and then they released it later, didn't they?
That would have been a bit too much on the nose, though, for me.
Yeah, do you know it definitely means more?
Yeah,
right. A Reason to Die. But then, of course, it's kind of giving the game away, isn't it, when you call the film that? So you I guess you can't. But yeah, so now you'll never... Are you death or paradise? Now you'll never see me cry. There's just no time to die.
There's just no time to die.
Yeah. So to be honest, for me, I feel like the title...
Maybe it means the death of the relationship. And it's like there's no time to die in terms of I'm going to move on with my life. This is it. There's no time for me to die in terms of this relationship. That's it. I'm just going on. I'm not thinking about it.
Does that make any sense?
It does in my head.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I've got a suspicion here, right? That, Daniel always said, the film titles have got to mean something, and that Quantum of Solace meant something because of the Vesper thing and all the rest of it. I've got a suspicion that this film title doesn't actually mean anything. Was
it that name generation thing?
Maybe it was, because it's a very...
It's very Bondian sort of name generation, isn't it?
It is that, isn't it? It's very sort of Bond sounding. I remember thinking at the time, that's like a generic sounding Bond title. And that's my suspicion, because it's like when you look at that lyric, now you'll never see me cry, there's just no time to die. It's like, okay, that's the spot to put the title of it in. Yeah. But does it actually mean anything? I don't know. Maybe I'm just being completely blind. So I would like to turn that over to the JBL family and see if anybody's got any ideas of what that means, or maybe Chris is right and I'm just not seeing it. I don't know.
No, there could be a number of interpretations, I guess. But it'd be interesting to know which one they were going for in terms of the writing.
All right, press them on then.
What's the next bit? Yeah.
I let it burn. You're no longer my concern. Faces from my past return. Another lesson yet to learn. What do you think about that?
Okay, so we've kind of gone over this a few times with the faces from the past. Obviously, we'll talk about the actual sequence in a minute, but there are moments where obviously Bond and Madeleine's face comes up, and I think Blofeld's comes up as well. Obviously, Spectre, we had all of that with all the nods to the past and the broken glass and all of this sort of stuff. So it is a bit of a rehash of that, I think, a little bit. But it sounds like a good lyric, and I think it does fit. Are you happier with that one?
I'm happy with that, yeah, absolutely. And then basically the rest of the song is just repeating the chorus and, singing No Time to Die over and over again.
Right.
So, so it does the job. I think it works. Like you say, I was surprised to see Vesper's face again in the title sequence for this. So talk to me through what you think of the actual visuals.
Okay, so this
song.
is only going off. Obviously, we've only seen it 2 or 3 times each. So I do remember thinking it was great in terms of like the opening. You've got the theme with the ice. Obviously, you've just seen Madeline under the ice. You've got Britannia, Royal Britannia. Obviously, that's great. The statue, which then kind of frosts over, and then you get the blood coming down the side of the face, which is really cool. It's a bit like sort of Safin's face. And then obviously you get this everything related to the plants. So you see sort of the vines and the plants growing up the arm, which also looks like veins, like blood veins. So you've got the poisonous sort of the nanobots and stuff going through, and that's a nice little link there. I can't remember what it immediately happens after that, but one of the best bits in it that I really like is where you get all those guns that shoot at the same time, all the PPKs that shoot to create the DNA with the gun with the bullets flying. I thought that visually looked absolutely stunning and absolutely brilliant, and a really, really nice link to the story as well, with obviously the DNA side of things. It's hard to kind of remember sometimes, because after that then you get the strands which then form the faces. So your Bond, your Madeline, etc. So that was kind of cool.
We don't get any silhouetted ladies this time, do we?
No, we don't. No.
I missed those.
I can't remember how it ends. I do apologise. Do you remember how...
it's a tricky one. So I for me, when I look back at the Daniel title sequences, I think Casino is
unbelievable,
masterpiece, with all like the cards and all the rest of it. Quantum, all I can really remember is like sand dunes. I mean, that's pretty much all it is as far as I can remember. Skyfall, you had like lots of gravestone images.
Skyfall's title scene is brilliant.
The gravestone imagery and the Day of the Dead stuff thrown in there and stuff, which is great. Spectre,
octopus. Obviously
you had the big octopus thing. You had Bond in it, didn't you, with the 2 ladies either side, but Bond bare-chested. And this one, for me, the one thing that does stick in mind is that thing with the PPKs. The hourglass.
The Majesty's, the hourglass and the clock. Yeah, how do we forget
the hands of the clock, and he's like
That's
on the end of the hand, isn't he?
And
as it
and
goes
they had
around.
the hearts and the spades on the end, which from the the card suits. That was very cool, actually. That was cool. And that, again, that's definitely a Majesty sort of throwback with the clock and the hourglass. Which was cool. So I think visually it was good. I don't know if it kind of broke any new boundaries in terms of the visuals.
No, there's a part of me that feels like it's a little bit run of the mill. There is definitely some nice things, but I don't think that there's not like an identity that immediately makes me go, boom, oh, that's definitely belongs to this film. It seemed like, dare I say, it feels a little bit like a generic Bond title sequence. There's like with a lot of them, you've got a definite flavour to it. Like A View to a Kill, you got all the neon
I knew
stuff.
You were say that.
you got Live and Let Die with the flames and the skulls, and Goldfinger with all the gold. Like, do you know what I mean? They're so defined and visually banging. Whereas with this one, I feel like less so.
I think.
It could.
It seems to be. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say it could cross over with Spectre or Skyfall. You know what I mean? And
No, I think you're right. I think the mixture of the nods to Majesties, and then you've got the Britannia and the vines and the blood sort of is cool, and the ice I thought was really cool, and then the DNA gun was cool, and the clock. So there is good in there, but I wouldn't call it the most memorable
but that's
one that I've seen.
Exactly how I would put it as well. Yeah, nicely done.
But equally, I do think that the song does fit and work with the title.
It does.
When I saw it, I thought it
100%. I prefer the song with the visuals as well. I think
definitely.
Yeah, it does. It elevates it somehow. So let me ask you this, right? So that feeling when you put Bond music on, Bond music in general, really, but like let's talk about the songs primarily. You put the headphones in, you dim the lights down, and you stick some Bond music on, and whichever one it is, let's just say it's, I don't know, let's pull one out of the air, let's say Majesty's theme tune, right? And you just get that little tickle down your spine of like, ooh, I get a little tingle, and there's some sort of feeling in there. And I remember way back in the day when we reviewed the theme songs years ago. We got to Majesty's and you went, I just don't know what it is. I put that on and I just want to do something, right? And my question to you is, Chris, right? Do you get that feeling when you listen to this? When you shut your eyes, you dim the lights, you put the music on in your earbuds, and you listen to it? Do you get that tingle in your ballsack?
In my ballsack, get many tingles down there. Okay, so in all honesty, I haven't listened to it enough to know.
Okay.
Like with Writings on the Wall, I wasn't sure. I listened to it 30, 40 times back to back almost, and I was like, man, I'm really, really enjoying this. And I think it would be the case for this song because I think like it kind of embeds itself in you, and you get sort of the Pavlov dog, you know, the association that it's Bond, and then it's kind of a part of you in a weird way. And it's unfair of me to kind of say whether it would or wouldn't without nailing it like 40 times or whatever, which is what I will do. So I can come back to you in a later episode on that. So at the moment, no, but that doesn't mean it won't. I just need more time to do it. But equally, you've got to think there are different songs for different vibes. So you've got sort of Majesties. You've got, you could say, obviously, You Know My Name. You've got ones that are full of energy. You've got ones which are kind of your Matt Monroe's or maybe your Spy Love Me, Nobody Does It Better, etc., which are kind of, you know, a totally different tempo, but they still do it for me. And then you get one or two which are okay because they're Bond, they're better than they'd otherwise be, but they're not normally my cup of tea. So yeah, I think there's definitely a chance for it because the sound does get Bondy, and it's just that start. I was thinking, when's it going to build up? When's it going to build up? And it took a long time, but I'm sure it will once I listen to it a few times. How about yourself?
Yeah, I remember reviewing it when it first came out, and it did give me the chillies, right? It gave me a little tingle down the spine when I listened to it. It did do that. I think my one criticism is it's just a bit too close to the last one. It's a bit too safe musically. Is my criticism. It's like it's just like, okay, it's another one of those. It's more of the same. Not that it's a bad song. It's just I guess I would have liked something that just tried something a little bit different, you know, in the spirit of the film we're talking about, you know, just push some boundaries a bit. And I guess it's a bit of a safe option, I would say.
Yeah. Someone on the Facebook JBR Facebook group asked an interesting question just about in terms of the Craig songs, how would people rate them? And the plethora of answers, which were completely different, was really impressive because I just thought straight away, so and so will be top, so and so middle, so and so bottom. But no, it's a really diverse range of opinions when it comes to the Craig songs. So my question to you, Tommy, if you had to put them, you know, rate them 1 to 5 at the moment in time, what are you looking at?
You Know My Name, number 1.
Yep.
Knocked it out of the park as far as I'm concerned. Skyfall, number 2.
Yep.
Another Way to Die, number 3. Writings on the Wall, number 4. No Time to Die, number 5. I think it's difficult because it's the new one, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's always hard for the new one.
But I do think it loses points for not being as original as it could have been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's similar to mine.
Yeah, I say, Skyfall and Writings on the Wall amalgamated together, and then you've got it. How about you?
Not too dissimilar. You Know My Name, definitely top. I'd actually put Another Way to Die second. I really dig that.
Those two are very close for me. I do. Yeah, it could be one or the other one.
It does get shat on quite a lot. I know Warren's not a fan, and quite a few other people aren't a fan. It's Michelle's favourite theme song, actually.
Do you know what I think you do? You get rid of what's her face, Alicia Keys, or at the very least stop with a whoa. Get rid of all that and just calm down and just rein it in a little bit, you know, and then we'd have been all right. I think that's the problem
because the sort of background, the actual music to it is brilliant, and it is really Bondian. But yeah, no, I'm a big fan of that. So I go, You Know My Name, Another Way to Die, Skyfall, definite 3, and between the other two, I think given time, they're going to be on par and one might go over the other, but purely because I haven't heard No Time to Die as much, I'm going to put Writings on the Wall as 4, No Time to Die 5th at the moment, and then it might change. But on the social media, every order you could possibly think of is on there, which is interesting,
it's
isn't
a beautiful thing.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, that about rounds out today's episode, talking about the song and the title sequence. Be sure to let us know on the social medias what you think. Do you think, has Billie grown on you? Did you dislike it to begin with, and then over time it's grown on you and you like it more? Has it gone the opposite way? What are your thoughts on that? And of course, let us know your thoughts on the title sequence imagery as well. So we're going to be back tomorrow, Chris, for the final episode of this week, Friday's episode, where we're going to be talking about the Jamaica stuff just after the song finishes.
We're going to look at the post-title sequence, which is like the break-in, the lab break-in, and the Jamaica scene with Bond. Just looking forward to it, man. We're getting back into it. We're good.
All right. So I'll see you tomorrow then, Chris.
See you tomorrow, and see everyone else. We'll see you then. Bye.
Hope you enjoyed the show. Good night.